Welcome back to Erotically Empowered. Sit down, strap yourself in. You are going to want to save this video, or if you're listening on Spotify, you are going to want to save this because I am going to teach you what I teach my clients, what I normally reserve for my clients. I am going to teach you how to self-pleasure. I had a video that I uploaded a couple weeks ago that has taken off on TikTok. It's doing amazing. I literally pulled out the phone. I had a beautiful self-pleasure session. I pulled out the phone to hit record and I just started speaking really from emotion how powerful and beautiful somatic self-pleasure is. And the response has been incredible. I've been inspiring and uplifting women, but I've also been having the question, how do I do it? Okay. And I wanted to come on here, make an entire podcast episode teaching you literally the work that I teach my clients, this art of self-pleasure, so you can do it yourself. Now, first and foremost, if you don't know, self-pleasure is not masturbation, not in the way that I use these terms. Masturbation is goal-oriented. So I'm going into this to feel pleasure, to have an orgasm, have a quickie, whatever. That's masturbation. Self-pleasure is the art, the practice of being fully present in the body with whatever arises. And it is this work, this practice that is going to actually enable you to expand your pleasure. So masturbation gives you something immediate in that moment. You're going in with a goal. Self-pleasure is where you can actually expand your pleasure. Self-pleasure was how I expanded my pleasure and how I awakened and went from completely numb, unable to feel anything without high intensity and unable to really truly enjoy sex in the way that I actually wanted to now multi-orgasmic with ease and flow, with minimal touch, sometimes not even touch, awareness, but that was the space that I did that. Now, self-pleasure, as I said, is you are allowing whatever is there to arise. Okay, so if what has been stored in your body from the day, the week, perhaps years, if that emotion has not been given space to be felt, you will not feel the depth of your pleasure. Because number one, if you are holding on to pain, grief, anger, sadness in your body, if you are storing that there, your nervous system is in that state of fight, flight, or freeze. It is in a chronic state of underlying stress. It is, you haven't created safety in your body because you are holding on to emotion that is telling you that something is wrong. Okay. If you are holding on to grief or rage or whatever in your body from events that have happened in the past, perhaps very much, very valid. Of course, it's very valid that you feel the way you feel. But if you are holding on to that, your body, doesn't know the difference between something happening now or it's happened in the past. So if you are storing this energy of let's say deep grief in your body from things that have happened, your body is being given the signals that there is something to grieve, something, there is a big threat in our life that is causing this pain, this, something has happened. This is what is you're signaling to your body, right? That is why you are experiencing this grief in this real time, not in the past, you're experiencing it now. Your body is being told, your body is reacting, and this is actually where PTSD comes from. So people who suffer with PTSD significantly and need to be, medicated, what's happening in their body is their body cannot distinguish between now and the event, and their body is reacting as if that thing happened. So that's an extreme version of what I'm saying. But it's the same thing. Your body hasn't let go of that. It thinks there's the threat. And no matter whatever amount of talking and cognitive work you do, if you don't address this in the body, no matter how much you logically know that that threat or that event has passed, your body doesn't know that, and it's holding on to this. And why does that affect your pleasure? Because when your body is storing that, it is telling you that you're not safe. And if you are not safe, you cannot let go to your pleasure. Your deepest pleasure exists in complete and utter surrender. Surrender to the moment, to your body, to your erotic energy. It is the deepest vulnerability where you just let go completely. You cannot do that if your body is being given the signals that it is not safe. So if there is residual emotion, even if, let's say we're not even talking about, severe, significant trauma, just anger that, things happened in your life this week, say with your boss or with your partner, and you're fucking angry and you're holding on to that and you haven't addressed that in your body, do you think that your body is going to be able to just feel completely safe to let go? No, because it's thinking that there's a threat here that we need to be on guard, right? We need to be on guard because something's pissing us off. There's a threat in our environment. So self-pleasure is where we go in to the body and we meet the body where it is. If that's anger, we meet it there. If that's sadness, we meet it there. If that's pleasure, we meet it there. But you cannot meet the depths. I mean the depths of your pleasure if you do not meet whatever is left in your body first. You need to meet this aliveness. You need to give space for your body to speak, to feel what it wants to feel, because it will not let go of that until you do. This is the space where you detach from the stories in your mind. If there is stuff that needs to be worked out cognitively, that's separate. You go to talk therapy, you talk there. That is completely separate. But your body, this is giving your body space to feel it so it can complete that stress cycle and that energy can move. And guess what? You can feel your pleasure. So I had spent a lifetime of hating my body, of running from my body, of treating my body like trash, with substance, with disordered eating, because I was so freaking disconnected that, I didn't have this connection with my body. So I was living very much out of my body. All these years of pain and anger and all of this was just built up within. And this is why the only way, so I didn't have safety to feel, to be in my body, right? I couldn't be in my body. And this was why I didn't really feel any significant pleasure during sex. And the only way that I felt something was when I would bring in my high-powered toy to buzz with intensity past the emotional body using adrenaline to force myself to feel. And it was the process of being fully in my body when things started to happen. Now, I just did a video this morning where I spoke about, and this is why I wanted to elaborate here, another video where I was speaking about somatic self-pleasure. Now, at the beginning of my journey, I attended self-pleasure circles. When I say that term, people tend to think it's like this big fucking orgy. It is not. Self-pleasure circles is where women, and there were mixed ones, I never went to those, women are being held and supported in a safe environment, and the power of the collective consciousness of women to give space for their body to speak and be with what's alive. I went on to then teach my own version of self-pleasure once I completed my studies, and it was really incredible. But on my second or third self-pleasure circle, I had this moment where I was laying on my back naked. Like, this was never, pleasure, wasn't arising. It wasn't there. But I knew that this was just being with my body and being with the awkwardness initially, because I hadn't done that. And I was touching my legs. I was on my back, my legs in the air. I was stroking my legs, and I had this intense grief and sadness come up, and I heard the words, "I'm sorry." Like, I'm sorry. And, I'm sorry for the years that I hated you. I thought you were, too fat, too this, too that. I'm sorry for what I've, put you through, my body, and I love you. And this was intense sadness and grief that washed up. And what did I do? I allowed it to be there. I didn't go into this self-pleasure circle saying, I'm going to sit here and rub one out and force myself to feel. No, that's not what I was in this for, and that's not what you're here for. You're here to expand, right? So I allowed that to arise, and I had these beautiful tears flow and sobbed, and then I ended up, feeling great pleasure and bliss in my body after. But this is what self-pleasure is. Now, I'm going to give you a process for how you can learn to do this yourself, keeping in mind that this is one part of the puzzle, okay? That I teach this, so this somatic self-pleasure practice, being steps that I'm teaching you now, I teach this in like the way that I've created my new course, which hasn't even been released yet. But the way that I've always taught this work is this is like a few modules in, right? I don't even teach this until we lay the foundations of body connection, heart opening, because the heart is the gateway to pussy opening for a woman, until I teach, the practice of specific touch. So this is something that you absolutely can start right now and start, right now, save this, go into this practice tomorrow and start doing this regularly. This is what I did in the beginning because I was just piecing together. But the way that I teach is I lay the foundations first. So by the time you get to this, you are able to fully be in. Having said that, what you can do, the steps I teach, and this is not about being rigid. People want rigid, specific rules to follow. When you're doing that, you're taking yourself out of what this whole thing is, which is giving space for your body to open. This is just a guideline, and you go with where your body takes you. What I do is I pop on, so I set the scene in my room. I have very specific, I close all the windows and I put on one lamp, bedside lamp. Sometimes I'll pop on a beautiful candle and I'll pop on my sensual playlist. And these are the triggers that help me switch into, okay, this is my time to be with me. I will start moving and sensually flowing my body to this sensual music. This flow, this rhythmic flow, helps me become present, helps me drop into my feminine energy and my sensual energy, dropping out of the rigidness of the day, coming into this flow. Then, when I feel ready, I move on to the bed. I begin to stroke my body, okay? I use my fingertips and I will start to stroke like my neck, my chest, my arms. I will stroke, so I will get nude by this point. I usually strip off before I even begin. I'll start stroking my legs. And all I'm doing is I'm noticing what's arising. Now, if you are holding on to a lot of tension in your body, it may be beneficial to do some sort of intentional somatic movement to then allow you to connect to this. So that's a whole different thing. You know, it may be beneficial, especially if your heart has been closed, for example, and you've struggled with trauma. I always recommend to my clients doing one of the heart activation practices first, so this can safely open you into your body. Or if you feel really up in your mind, doing one of the body connection practices. I do have a free practice that you can do this as many times as you want in the day that starts you connecting to your body. I will put the link below, or it'll be in my profile, or you can find it on my social media. But something that brings you into your body if you're finding it difficult to come in, okay? But let's say we've done that. You're coming in and you're just touching your body and you are noticing what arises. So it may be nothingness. That is still something, and that's beautiful. And it's just noticing, like maybe if some sadness starts arising at this point, like it did for me in the self-pleasure circle, you allow that to be. You are not going in here to force pleasure. This is the only place that you can actually allow your pleasure to unfold, by being first with what's alive. So let's say sadness is coming up. You connect to this in your body, not stories. Your mind might want to attach stories to it, but you connect to this in your body. Like, where am I feeling this sadness? And just feel it. Like, actually let yourself feel it. This is the problem that why so many women, my old self included, don't feel anything, because we never let ourselves feel. We're too busy moving on with our day or staying with stories in the head that we never let ourselves feel, and that energy stays stuck. Let yourself feel it. Then use your somatic tools, your breath, sound, touch, movement, to connect more deeply. So let's say you start, sobbing. Maybe there may be a rubbing or a holding of the heart, or, an intentional deeper sobbing, to bring that, to connect to that emotion more. Your only job is to stay with what's arising. If there's nothingness, great. Continue on with your fingertips, just noticing, staying connected to the feel of your fingertips as they brush over your skin. You see where I'm going here? It's just this beautiful practice of being with whatever is alive in that moment. If it's boredom, which for me was a lot, because remember, I was conditioned to high-powered intensity, so there was no safety to be in my body. So it was like, I just want to fucking run. Cool. Sit with that feeling. How does that feel? Cool. Let yourself feel that feeling of wanting to run and stop this because it is so boring. Let yourself feel that. And if your entire practice that day is purely feeling boredom or purely feeling sad, amazing. You have self-pleasured. That is somatic self-pleasure. If that energy moves and dissipates and you decide to carry on, continue touching, and pleasure arises, amazing. Stay with that pleasure. But that pleasure, whether or not it arises in that day, giving this space is where that pleasure will gradually unfold. It cannot unfold if you are not there, allowing yourself to feel what your body wants to feel. And that is it. That is it. And if you struggle, like I did in the beginning, to stay in your body for any significant amount of time, you may like to set a timer for, say, 15, 20 minutes, just, challenging yourself to stay with your body for that time, which is what I did. And sometimes I even struggled with that. But I feel like this stand is slowly sinking down as I'm talking. Is it? Maybe? Or am I losing my mind? But so I wasn't always able to stay for long, because I had sometimes the intense urge to run. And that was okay. And sometimes the intense urge to bypass all of this and grab my intense vibrator, that one too. And I did that, and that was okay. I didn't berate myself. It was like, okay, next time I go in, I'm going to see if I can stay a little longer. And I didn't feel pleasure for a long time. Like, I didn't feel pleasure. And when I was able to understand that this was not about forcing pleasure, that was when I was able to stay longer and that this pleasure naturally arose. So, challenge yourself over the next few days or the week to set aside time for yourself. Set aside 30 minutes. Your practice can only be, only needs to be 15, 20 if you're just beginning and you're struggling. But that time to integrate after, set aside that time, put it in your calendar now, set the scene in the room, pop on some sensual, beautiful music, start flowing and moving, move to your bed, start touching and stroking and just see what arises. Just see what arises. All right? I promise you, like, it's not that complicated. Women's pleasure, yes, we're wired very, very differently to men, and there's a lot more that goes into it with safety and whatever, but it's not hard to be able to feel. It just takes consistency to come back, to detach from this world that has taught us to be disconnected and to come back. And I created, so this freebie that I'm going to post to you, it's 2 parts. It's a little drop-in body connection and also identity reframing, subconscious work, identity pleasure rampage. But this body connection practice in this freebie is a simple practice. Again, this is nothing to do with pleasure. This is about coming into your body and learning to be home in your body. Because if you can do this during the day when something arises that, evokes this intense emotion, if you can be in your body in those moments and use these tools, that energy can be felt then and there and be free to move. You don't have to be building this up. And in fact, if you are living disconnected from your body 99.999% of the day, and it's only that tiny 0.01% that you come in to intimacy with yourself or with a lover, trying to expect to feel something, you are absolutely selling yourself short, and you are not going to be feeling what you want to feel. It's what you do with the rest of your day, how often you come back, how often you are able to connect to your body and create this video absolutely is falling down, and it's triggering me, but it's creating this safety on a daily basis, all day, every day, to be in the body, to be regulating the nervous system by being with that energy. This is how you begin to sensitize. So this audio, it's a 2-step system that I've created to help you. But the first audio is this coming back. And if you can start putting this on regularly throughout the day and then set aside time for these longer somatic self-pleasure practices, my God, this is where your journey can begin. And of course, if you want to actually immerse fully in this, you can work with me to do this. I have books open for one-on-one work, but also my new program, which is probably going to be released at the beginning of next year now. But if you want to get in because you know that you are ready to do this, you can message me about that. Either way, you can begin right now. And I hope that, I know that so much is waiting for you. It's just up to you to start connecting. I shall see you next time. I love you. Yours in pleasure and orgasms. I will speak to you next time.